Hey guys, and any girls watching, good evening. It's Paul from Bully's Painting Parlour. I'm a bit excited because this is my first video from the studio, the finished studio. Look at all those lovely paints, aren't they glorious? Just a few of the colours here, all sorts of different lights and stuff. I won't bore you with it now, but I'm massively pleased with my little pad. It's pretty awesome, to be honest. Lovely. Right, so this is a really quick video. I recently, obviously now Poppy is better and God willing will stay better, recently opened again for commissions on a very limited basis. I've been focusing on competition painting for the last 2 to 3 years, and my skill levels have increased exponentially because of that, but I figured I would just sort of do a few little bits and help the family with a bit of extra money. As always, the ethos with me is I'll never take a commission on if I can't do it. So I opened for commissions. I got bombarded with requests, which I was truly touched with. I accepted 2 requests and I've closed for commissions again. And when I finish those 2 requests, I'll maybe do some more, depending on how much time it takes. So the first commission is for a Force of Games Workshop Blood Angel Death Company, which are the chaps you can see down. And what I thought would be interesting to do is to talk to you about how I go about the process of actually doing a paint job for an army. Now these are going to be high tabletop, so a pretty good standard, to be honest, and therefore I've spent a bit more time on the builds. So what you see in front of you here is how I will generally prepare. Let me just see if we get the focus. How I will generally prepare a mini for paint. So these have been clipped and glued, ready to go, and I have not yet removed any mould lines, so any eagle-eyed viewers out there who see mould lines, I've got to go through and shave those off in a minute. And then you'll see on the bottom of all of these pieces here, there's just a single copper panel pin. I think panel pins are absolutely the best thing to use to pin models to bases and hold them when you're painting them and everything else. They cost peanuts. That's a really good trick. Another good trick to go with the panel pins are these little things. You can get them for £1 in shops like Tiger, and they are just crocodile clips on a bit of wire, but the combination of a crocodile clip on a bit of wire and a miniature gives you a really great ability to paint them and then just leave them to dry. I really like that when I'm painting, especially if I'm painting unit commissions. So this is a relatively big Death Company commission, to be honest. It's going to be about 47 Marines, I think it was. But it should be quite good fun doing it. I've not painted Space Marines in ages. So that's how I would go about pinning them all. So if you look at all these models, you can see that the majority of the model is put together ready to paint. I'm going to lay all the foundation colours with an airbrush. It's just quicker to do that rather than spray on the sprue and that sort of side of things. You will also notice some shiny silver, and that is because I wanted to give the customer a little bit more variance, and the customer is a gamer, so he wanted a bit more variation in terms of how he can play. So these are the first 5 of 20 of these guys. So these guys all have one arm, so their primary weapon arm is magnetised left and right on all of them, but everything else is glued and ready to rock. And just for shits and giggles, the sergeant, you can see the sergeant's also got a magnet in his head, because I wanted to give the customer the option of having a helmeted head or not. So here's another top tip. This is a little steel plate. When you're working with magnets, in order to help you get your polarizations right, because you can really screw up all your hard work if you don't, get yourself a little steel plate and just put the magnets down, so you know that this end is going in to the hole on the polarized bit. When you finish sticking it in, put it down again, and then when you come to do the weapon or the bit that goes onto it, flip it over and repeat the process. It's a really good way of never screwing up your magnetisation. Hope that helps somebody with a tip. And it also means that you can separate your left and right arms, as you can see here, with the magnets. So I've got 2 head options. The Death Company Sergeant head. Let's just whack that on. Focus. There we go. I like that head. It's not the standard Blood Angel's head, it's a little bit more morbid. I'm going to paint it like a kind of, well, like a vampire, to be honest. And if I just pull that off, we've got the, in my opinion, the ropiest of the helmets in the set, but it was the spare one. So he's also got a helmeted head, and of course if you've got them on magnets, it means you can pose them and position them as you want to. And then, as I said, all the weapons arms are all magnetised. So the first thing, guys, if it's find a bolt pistol, I implore you, when you are working with Games Workshop miniatures, for the love of God, take the time to drill out the barrels. Here you can see I've run through the barrel, and then I've run through the barrel, and I'll do that on any weapons. It's an absolute pet bugbear of mine that the barrels aren't drilled on weapons. I don't know why, it just drives me insane. So always remember to drill your barrels, and then if the polarization works, oh god, that'd be embarrassing if it didn't, wouldn't it? You can see that the arms are posable as well, and you can just get bored of one weapon choice and put another one on. And they're good neodymium magnets, so they're nice and strong, and I think the option of the 3 weapons will help him when he's playing. Now, you can go to town and magnetise the shoulders, and the way that you do that is you carry the polarity through from the magnet in the arm and put the receiving magnet in the shoulder pad, and it catches it through the plastic. That's a pain in the arse, and invariably your customer will end up losing a whole load of shoulder pads and stuff, and we don't want that. So the top tip for that is to put your gun arm on your model, pick a shoulder pad. Once the gun arm's in its generic place, glue a shoulder pad on so it's permanently attached to the arm, and then you're just swapping them over with the shoulder pads already on. Obviously for a commission painter it's a little bit more work, but as with all things in life, you get what you pay for. So what I will do with these guys now is I will trim off the bottom of all these tacks, leaving myself a good 2 centimeters so I can crocodile clip them. I'll go around with a scalpel and I will remove any and all mould lines, and then I've got a monstrous hangover from last night, so after that I'm going to have a cup of tea and go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, which is pretty tragic, but it means I'll be fresh, ready in the morning to blat on with these guys. So I will, tomorrow morning I will spray them all with Chaos Black just to give them their foundation, and then I'll break out the airbrush, and I'm going to do these in a very desaturated black, and if you don't know what that means, then it means I will be using blue greys to highlight them, so they'll be kind of a little bit duller, almost to black blue, and that will really offset the vibrant red to orange quite nicely, I think. Client has requested blue lenses, blue engine glows, and usually he doesn't want the typical red weapons, so the weapons are actually going to remain as black, but I'll do some sort of tonal variation and some weathering on them to give them a bit of extra punch, and then the red will be the accent colour and everything else. It's just personal preference to the client. I like the fact he's gone for blue lenses instead of the standard red, because it gives you a focal point. They'll be so out of place apart from the jump jets that you'll be drawn to the face of the Marine, and I think that's going to be a good thing to do. You guys will also know that basing is my thing. I'm a total geek for basing. They frame the miniature and it's just as important as the paint job. I'm going to be doing these guys in deep white snow, deep thick soft powder, and they'll be in bits of statues and broken buildings and all that sort of stuff covered in snow, and those white frames will offset this commission quite nicely. I've set myself to do the 47 Marines in actual paint time. I need to do it in 2 solid days. The build time doesn't count in that. The client obviously paid for the build, and I will be doing the build time in the evenings when I get home from the normal boring day job, but the paint time I'm probably looking at 16 to 18 hours, so 2 8 or 9 hour days in my little man cave, and that should be enough to bang out all the Marines. I went ahead and picked these up before he ships me the rest of them in a box, just so I could get started, so he wasn't waiting, because it's a pain in the arse waiting for commission painters. I know that. I'm still waiting for commissions from 2 years ago from granted friends of mine, but they are commission painters and I'm still waiting for it. God knows why I commissioned anybody to do anything, but at the time I really couldn't be asked to paint because of everything that was going on. and I'm paying for that now. So here we go. That's just a little boring moan on insight from me in terms of how to set up getting ready to do it. And then I will probably do a couple of quick series of videos in terms of how I prep the minis, how I black them up with the colours, how I paint the faces and everything else. As I said, these aren't just crap tabletop quality, they'll be a little bit higher than that, probably similar to how I would do my Necrons or my Tau. I don't know if anybody has seen any of my Necrons or my Tau. Just pulling this out of the cabinet, which is in my studio. Woo! So I can do that. So this is part of my Tau army. This is one of the Ghost Keels, and the army is called Winter Dawn. So the primary accent colour is orange, obviously, and this is tabletop. These are gaming figures, but again, they're all magnetised, and the pilots can do the whole Titan keel. Titanfall thing or not. And these are just, sorry about the shaky hands in the focus. These are just a lot of fun to do. So the models will be similar standard to this one. I like to use a lot of magnets in my figures because it gives you a lot of variation for how you can do things. And look at this, top tip, top tip. How cool is that? Focus. Oh, that's right. That is a cloaked Ghost Keeled recast in clear resin. Isn't it lovely? Not ghost, stealth suit. And then these are how I do my stealth suits. So typical me, standard stealth suits, or are they? Answer: no, they're not. I carve out and hollow out all the heads, magnetise the bonces, and I've still got to paint the tail skin in, obviously, but all of my Ghost Keels are, all of my stealth suits are magnetised like that. Which is pointless for a gaming army, but I just like to do things that keeps my mind busy. Right then, guys, have a really lovely evening. Happy Friday. Go drink lots of wine, do lots of painting, and I will be back soon. Thank you for listening to me ramble. What I really find I appreciate is the people that take the time to leave a comment. It's really nice reading comments. The community's awesome. You guys are always awesome anyway. But I really enjoy reading the comments. Any suggestions, anything you want to ask, please do. Share the videos. I've got 300 odd followers now, which I'm truly honoured by. I'd love to get more. I know there are only amateur kind of garage videos. There's no Ponzi editing or anything, but you know, we're all just kind of amateur Ponzi garage painters really, I guess, aren't we? Have a nice evening, guys. Bye.